What's going on, Titans fans? Welcome back into another special edition of the Morning Glory Show After Hours. I am your host, as always, Jake Robertson at Glory Day Sports on all social media. I am joined today by my co-host, as always, Jonathan Miller at Esports Valen. We are joining you tonight after a 24-17 loss in Chicago to the Chicago Bears. We're going to be breaking down what went wrong. Make sure you do us a favor. If you're checking us out for the first time over on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Enter into that Tajay Spears signed jersey giveaway. We are almost there. We're less than 100 subscribers away from hitting that, and we'll send that out to one lucky person. As always, we have our merch available down below as well, the Morning Glory Show t-shirts and mugs. So go check that stuff out. Join people in the comments like Mr. Glazer and Cooper Martin down below. But, Jonathan, what is your grand overview from today's game?
Oh, man. The offense stunk, man. We stunk. And the defense was fantastic. So I think, I am very much a fan when it comes to the ending of some of these games where I will lean heavily on instant reactions of what we saw. But after a couple of hours and letting the loss kind of sink in a little bit, the biggest thing was Will Levis did not play up to the standard that we thought he was going to. This offense did not click the way we may have hoped it would. In the first half, the offensive line was looking good. Run scheme was looking good. I really liked how Callahan and the offensive staff kind of bounced back in terms of the two drives that were horrendous and then looked really, really good in the third drive. Had a really great, what felt like a million play drive that ate up a bunch of time and was capped off with that Will Levis touchdown to Chig in the corner there in the back of the end zone. Chig looked awesome. And so, yeah, there were moments of flashing, good signs of football on the offensive side. And then the second half was disaster. And the way that they lost this game was maybe there's a slim, a glimmer of hope in terms of how they lost. It wasn't all bad if you just kind of glaze over, or just watch it for face value. But yeah, really disappointed, mostly in Will Levis. This was his loss. I tweeted, I think in like the beginning of the fourth quarter, and I said, this is where like Will has to elevate his team. Like if he's going to be the guy, he has to be the reason they win. And I'm not exaggerating. The very next play was the boneheaded, like just chuck it up in the crazy pick six. And then I went, well, he was the reason they lost, the literal reason. So yeah, I mean, I hate to kind of say that, but to be completely honest, as boneheaded and crazy as that play was, as fluky as the play was, it was the straw that broke the camel's back. But yeah, a lot to unpack here.
Yeah, I think with Will Levis, there's lots to be concerned with, and it's the concerns that we've had all offseason. He's got to put together, and it felt like this offense was just playing hot potato with a hand grenade this entire game. You were just waiting for that mistake to happen. And in the first half, they put it together. They started out a little slow, like you said, first two drives ended in punt, and then they scored 3 straight possessions, ended with points, being 2 touchdowns, the one to Pollard, one to Chig, like you said, and they had a field goal as well. And then that second half came down flat. And then that Stonehouse blocked punt just started the waterfall. They couldn't get back on track from there. The line, I mean, there was lots of good and lots of bad with the offensive line, but going back to JC Latham, there's more to like than not. It looked much improved from what we saw on the field last season, even in week one. And it's only going to get better from here. But Will Levis cannot make that specific throw. But there was more than that. I mean, if you're just looking at box score, he started 9 for 15, 67 yards, a touchdown and a sack, had a couple rushes. The second half wasn't vastly different. He went from 9 and 15 to 10 and 17 with only a few less yards. The big difference is he had the 2 interceptions there. And that last one, you can just – that's an arm punt at that end. The game is over if he doesn't convert that, so you have to force the ball there. So that one doesn't really bother me. But the pick six, you cannot do that. This the team that didn't allow a touchdown on offense to Caleb Williams. They didn't allow a single point. As of right now, Caleb Williams is the lowest – has the lowest passing yards in the entire league as of right now. He's the only one that hasn't broke 100 yards going into the Sunday night game and into Monday night. So this defense played very well. The offense has to figure it out. As for the play calling with Callahan, obviously first time calling plays, I didn't hate it. I mean, you would like to – he had the second and long where he runs it with Pollard and they get shut down for nothing. Maybe you would have liked to see something different there. I did like the way that they were trying to utilize the screens. And even looking at that first half where the box score looks very similar, I thought Will Levis did a good job of dirting those balls where he needed to or wasn't there. I don't know what happened in the second half. It's very unfortunate.
Well, I do want to comment on the play calling really quick, Jake. Like on this in the second half, like I said, I really liked how they switched things up after the first 2 drives, which you could surmise is basically like the script of the game, right? It's like, hey, let's start with these, 10 to 20 plays in your script. And then that went to shit, to be completely frank. But after that, I liked how Callahan pivoted and said, okay, we're going to just run away from the pressure. And Will did a good job of picking that up. Changed a couple of plays. Changed a couple passes to runs that I saw that ended up being some good gains from Pollard, and Pollard ran great. So yeah, there was a lot of good in the play calling, but in the second half, the thing that, maybe my criticism or my feedback would be, there were several moments where the play calling seemed like he was trying to control the clock, control the game versus pick up the tempo after your offense has come out really flat in the first, for the first several drives in the third quarter. After the second drive or so, and you're just getting stunted back and forth, which is what the entire third quarter and first half of the fourth quarter was. You have to switch it up. Like, we have to pick up tempo. We got to stretch the field a little bit here. And the Bears weren't giving them anything. Like, credit to the Bears defense, which was phenomenal. Not only that, but man, they had guys coming off the edge. They had Billings, who was coming up the middle, creating absolute havoc. They played phenomenally well. The defense was great, but there were opportunities, I felt like, on the play calling side. There's definitely some that I think Brian probably left out there or wished he could have had a little different. That really stunted, because when you're looking at third and long in situations where you're really struggling to complete balls downfield, like you're condemning yourself in a really weird way. But there were several moments, like there was a sack that Will took earlier in the game that he didn't need to take, that would have put the Titans in a third and short situation as opposed to a third and long. Little things like that. And they're going to look at efficiency. They're going to look at EPA when they look at this film and go, okay, hey, we could have been more efficient here. We could have did this, that. But the reality is, Jake, like 100%, inconclusive. The turnovers is what lost the Titans the game.
Oh, yeah.
And, I know Jeff came out at the end of the game and was like, hey, we could have done a better job of taking the ball away. It's like, sure, Jeff, you guys could have done better. You limited this offense, this high-powered offense with the best receiving trio, to under 150 total yards of offense. Let me read that stat again. Under 150. It was 148 total yards of total offense. That is ridiculous. Under 100 yards passing, under 70 yards passing. So the point I'm trying to make here is that you can't really ask your defense to do a better job than what they did in terms of stifling this young offense. They just got beat in the third phase of the game, and Will gave up. Again, I agree with you. The second interception, I actually thought that he was probably in the right to try to squeeze that ball, or felt like he needed to squeeze it because it was fourth down. And his pocket collapsed instantly.
Yeah.
So we talk about like the offensive line did a great job. JC Latham looked pretty good in some situations, but in pass protection, all of them were complete liabilities. And by the way, it wasn't just the right side of the line. Literally, Peter and JC both got beat on several reps almost at the same time. It was a collapsing pocket half the time. Will was under duress constantly, but more so than anything, take that stuff away as excuses, right? At the end of the day, you can't throw literally the worst pick. It's just completely inexcusable, and it lost you the game. It really did. In hindsight, it just lost you the game. So ultimately, that's something that he's got to be better at. And I think it is a concern. Like, I thought about this going into this show. I thought, as bad as that was, we can say it's week one. No need to sound the horn and overreact and yada, yada, yada. And I'm not saying that he's not the guy and it's over, but what I am saying is that my thought is kind of shifting a little bit. Like, look, I get it. It's week one. He's getting his bearings. He's getting his, he was under pressure. It's a top 5 defense, arguably, right? Statistically, they were a top 5 defense last year. But regardless, and who knows, maybe if he doesn't make that one mistake, let's say he throws that ball out, or let's say he takes the sack. It's 4th and 14. They punt the ball. You're up 17-16, and you're putting the reins back in your defense, who is giving them nothing all game, giving them nothing. Now, did like in the back of my mind, did I go, oh, this is a Mike Vrabel defense? We're about to start breaking because we've been bending all game. Part of me did think that way, but this is not a Mike Vrabel defense. This is not give them chunks, let them dink and dunk you and create momentum for themselves. This is a Denard Wilson defense that did a really good job of applying pressure at certain moments. L'Jarius Sneed wasn't really traveling either. Like, they were playing zone in early downs. Like, it was masterfully done by Denard Wilson and a good execution by the defense. So yeah, it's painfully upsetting to watch, because you look at it and you go, okay, this Titans team lost 24-17. You lose by a touchdown, but this Bears offense didn't even produce 150 yards of total offense the entire game and scored 24 points. The punt block for a touchdown, the pick 6 for a touchdown. You can't have it. You absolutely can't have it. And it's easy to put the blame on, or all the blame on Will Levis because he made an egregious mistake. But there were some other egregious mistakes that led to points in areas that they shouldn't as well.
I think we're not even talking about this. If he hits that Calvin Ridley post in the end zone, that deep ball that was just slightly underthrown, should have been a touchdown. That could have changed and altered everything. And that's 100% on Will Levis. He just underthrew it.
Can we highlight Calvin Ridley for a second? Can we talk about that? Because his stat line is only 3 catches for 50 yards. But if you watched, they showed the balls where he missed. Calvin Ridley,
5 yards of separation every time.
He took Jalen Johnson to the cleaners. He was beating him almost every rep that they showed. And it was so upsetting. I'm glad you mentioned that throw. And obviously he said he felt like he couldn't step into it. Whatever the excuse was, that's a touchdown every day of the week. And then he missed him again on like what seemed like kind of like a fade out route on the left side too. So like, so yes, absolutely. Like, definitely it was apparent that the timing wasn't there. It seemed like there was probably a comeback route that Ridley, maybe it was a choice. I don't know what, it was completely off though. Levis at the end, I think it was a 3rd down at the end of the game, and Will is pissed that Calvin didn't come back for that ball. So there was a miscommunication on that fade throw, and then Will just misses him. Poor Calvin has to run like this, like hook back inside of the field to try to find this ball and not let it be an interception. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't just the one mistake throw, right? Like he was hot and cold all game, but he missed Calvin several times. Calvin's stat line should have been like 7 catches for 120 and a touchdown or something. He was very good against Jalen Johnson, who tracked him for most of the game. So credit to Calvin Ridley. He was phenomenal, and it's a shame he got missed. It was kind of like watching Trevor Lawrence trying to get him the ball all over again. So that part was really upsetting too.
I think the flowers can really go out to Calvin Ridley. He had a great game.
Yep.
Chig obviously had the touchdown.
Yeah,
we've harped on it this entire offseason that Josh
Lead
Wiley might be
fullback. Chig Okonkwo was awesome.
He was best tight end on the field. Nick Vannett saw a lot. I don't know about you. I didn't even notice Josh Wiley on the field with the Guardian cap.
Didn't even see it out there. It looked good.
Couldn't even notice.
Several times in my mind, I went, they did a good job on the Guardian cap. Like you can barely tell. Like you have to really look hard at it. They did a good job.
I think as the year progresses, we'll see more and more of that, especially with the concussions that come back through. Traylon Burks broke a couple tackles. I mean, stat line doesn't look amazing, but we see the progression there. So Will Levis, he just has to take that next step. We know that. Mike Titan in the comments with a good comment, something to add about the play calling. It needs to be called faster. Too many times we were down to 5 seconds or even below, honestly, before Levis was really starting to read the defense. I think we talked about that with TD months ago. We saw that so many times as a rookie where it's 3, 2, 1. He snaps the ball right at the last second, allows the defense to tee up that snap. And they got lucky on that Montez Sweat offsides in the game where it jumped and we ended up getting the first down and ended up scoring points later in that drive. That's something they have to speed up. There's no sense of urgency pre-snap. And I get it. Will Levis, he's trying to read the defense. He's trying to make those adjustments and calls at the line of scrimmage. And there's a time and place for that. But it's not every single down. It's going to catch up to you. And he's inviting pressure at that point. And that's something he's got to help his line. His line will help him if he can help them. We know he is a better quarterback than this. He needs to learn from his mistakes. He needs to control his tempo as the leader. Yeah, just like we're just saying, and stop playing hero ball. But yeah, I completely agree with all of those. I thought Latham, obviously, he had the huge miss on Sweat that ended up leading to that fumble recovered by the defense and just kind of led to that slippery slope as well. MPF, kind of similar. He had some good reps. Once Radence went down, though, and Rupsich came in, he was an absolute liability at the right guard position. I saw it more than once where ball is snapped and he's pushed 3 yards. They went right at him very early and often. So hopefully as of now, I haven't seen any news on Radence. Hopefully it is minor since he did leave the game, come back into the game, and leave shortly after that again. Yeah. So assuming hopefully we'll see him back for the Jets game, because that is going to be a huge loss going from Shadik to him to Andrew Rupsich. Might be an area of concern for sure. Obviously got to protect Ryan Stonehouse at all cost. The man just got out of the crutches months ago and already trying to put him back in a wheelchair.
Does anybody in the chat, or Jake, do you know who gave up the block? Because what I do know is
it was number 50. I remember looking at.
Okay. I was trying not to blow up Gibbons' spot because I tweeted it. And then I thought to myself, you know what? Maybe it wasn't somebody on the outside. Maybe it was someone in line, which wouldn't have been Gibbons in that case. But that's what I saw too. I saw Gibbons give up that block. When I'm watching Gibbons literally just get bodied and then that punt get blocked, I was so angry that I didn't say anything. And my son looked at me and he goes, "Daddy, are you okay?" My son is 4 years old. He knew the rage that was building inside of me watching this guy who should not play football for this team, bro. And look, it's easy to fire on him because, you miss a play, whatever, yada, yada, it happens. But I don't know if it's like blocking assignment. I don't know if they're just getting beat, what's happening on the special team side. But that has got to get talked about as well, because the special teams was an absolute liability today. Not just saying like, oh, they played a little poor. No, it was a literal liability because if you want to be, again, Brian Callahan said it, like, if we want to be completely honest, like when that happened, you could feel the momentum shift from your couch. You didn't have to be at Soldier Field.
No.
And that to me is kind of what started this like spiraling down. And then the momentum shifts completely on the offensive side. And then everything goes away. So yeah, to me, on the special team side, I don't know how you address it. I don't know if it's just situational. But and by the way, the first punt, the punt before that one that got blocked almost got blocked also.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys are paying attention, but they almost got 2 of them. So the special teams for the Titans absolutely got worked in. Jaquan didn't look great either. He had maybe 2 returns where he got it to the 30 where it looked okay. But for the most part, whether it's blocking, I didn't see anything like scheme wise. Like I've seen a couple of
It
returns.
looked like the same shit we've seen all preseason.
It was just super
There was
bland.
nothing different.
They didn't really pull any guys to maybe block one side or get creative in any way. So yeah, I just really disappointed with that as well.
I think the special teams can really turn it around. I think they had a bad game. I think they can clean this up. Clean up the kick coverage for one. Obviously, Julius Chestnut with the amazing fumble recovery on a very, very weird play, but it worked out in our favor. That was the only good shining spot on the special teams unit. Stonehouse, I mean, poor guy. You get 1 rep in the preseason, you got 2 practice reps in this game, and then get smoked right again. So you got to protect him. This is one of the best punters in the league, and he is a legitimate weapon for this team, especially if this offense will continue to struggle. So Colt Anderson, get your shit in line. That's all I got to say. But yeah, the defense, though, that was definitely the shining spot. We heard it all week from national media that Caleb Williams, this is his game. This is his coming out party. And that was not the case. Like we said, lowest passing yards in the league at this point in time. So that means the Titans secondary is ranked number 1 going into week 2, which is something we've talked about all season. This is a great secondary. And looking at Denard Wilson and his play calling, we've talked about it, that he's going to bring the kitchen sink at this kid. And from what I could see, we did blitz, but it was a controlled blitz.
Not as much as you would think. Yeah, like
they laid back. They allowed the 4 to get home, and we did that. We got pressure on Caleb all game long.
Yeah, they did. The interior was awesome. We talked about it this past Thursday on the Morning Glory show. We said that the key to victory in this one was going to be the interior defensive line with Tavondre Sweat, Jeffrey Simmons, getting double, triple teamed and then giving the edge an opportunity. The Harold Landry sack where he got the stunt inside the crater that they
Jeffrey
left.
Simmons was
getting triple blocked. Getting triple blocked. And then at the end, just literally holding 2 guys created the opportunity for Harold to get home. So yeah, we knew that was going to be a big part of it. Didn't know that Coburn was going to be, just Tavondre Sweat reincarnated. Both of those guys were going to be huge. But yeah, I mean, really loved every aspect of what the defense brought. I thought they did a really good job. Amani Hooker looked great. Shout out B Will. He was going to eat crow, but we lost. So I wasn't, obviously can't say much, but Amani Hooker looked good. He made several plays, and this one was great in coverage. Quandre Diggs liability. Was a little upset about his level of play, to be honest with you. And when you don't play at all in the preseason, that I don't know. I just kind of felt a certain way. Some players looked like they were not prepared. Now, do I think that he's going to be a liability moving forward? No, I don't. Things will loosen up and reps will get there and they'll be fine. But several guys didn't have that problem. L'Jarius Sneed looked really good. Kind of got beat a little bit by Keenan in an early little comeback double move thing. But yeah, overall the defense looked really, really good. Shout out Jarvis Brownlee. Brownlee, dog, absolutely dominated that one series, forcing the Bears to punt. So yeah, I mean, overall, this game, putting it all in a bow and kind of contextualizing the loss. Easton Freeze said it on Twitter first, so I'll give him credit for the thought. It's that, in the context of losing, you have to really understand how the Titans lost this game, which obviously as fans, we could be really pissed off because it was a really upsetting and disappointing loss. But more importantly, this offense had its moments where it was clicking. The offensive line had its moments where it looked dominant. J.C. Latham looked like an all-pro in the run game on several snaps. Dylan Radins looked like an all-pro on several snaps in the run game. So they were doing really well in certain respects. And even in pass pro, they had many good reps. And then on the offensive side, like with the skill position players, Calvin Ridley looked great. He was dominant. Like he got open. Him and Will Levis just were not on the same page. And I think that is mostly attributed to missed plays by Levis. Missed him on that go ball. That was definitely a touchdown. Missed him on a comeback route. That was, who knows, maybe just miscommunication there. But it looked like Ridley was beating him deep on that as well. So yeah, I think, Tyler Boyd looked really good in the couple of catches that he had. And the thought that I had when I saw him in the second catch, I thought, where the hell has Tyler Boyd been? Why are we not getting him the ball
so much earlier?
Yeah, I mean, the first catch is he extends and makes this huge play to convert a third down. And then I'm just thinking, like, dog, where is he? Like, why are we not? So it felt like we weren't getting the guys, our playmakers, the ball. And it felt like it was a big disruption on the offensive line that really caused that. And I think that Will Levis was just a little gun shy. He was quick to dirt it, quick to throw it out. And there were just so much to dissect there, but yeah, so much to dislike on offense, so much to like on defense, and so much to hate on special teams. So if we can come to the middle a little bit in those regards, then I think we'll be in good shape. Now, the one thing I will say, and I'm not trying to be pessimistic here, Jake, but the one thing I will say is that while the Titans defense was very good, there was still opportunity to climb back into that game for Caleb Williams, and he just didn't make it happen. He couldn't make it happen. There were several throws. He was grossly inaccurate on many throws, not just a couple, on many, probably like 9 or 10 throws where Caleb just didn't make the play. So, for me, the only thought I have is insert Aaron Rodgers in those situations. What does that look like? Probably making that throw. Insert Joe Burrow, insert, Anthony Richardson looked pretty good today. Like, insert CJ Stroud. So like there's some tough matchups coming up for the Titans, and it's probably a good thing that they had a mild offensive matchup here. So that way, we can kind of get up to speed from the defensive side of the ball too, because there's going to be takeaways for Denard Wilson as well. Like there were several moments where they probably wish that they had what they called back. But overall, not as much as we want to burn the house down here. I think that this is a strong learning opportunity for Will. You wished he would have learned not to do that. I knew not to do that. Like if I'm Will Levis, like literally, if it's Jonathan Miller for the quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, which let's hope that never happens. But if it was, I'm taking the sack, baby, or I'm throwing that thing out of bounds. He didn't have a chance to throw it out of bounds in that situation. I'm just taking the sack, punt the ball. Situational awareness. Understand what you have to do. There's like 7.5 minutes left in the game. You do not have to be a hero in this moment. Literally take the sack, go ahead and punt the ball away. Your defense, if you are in tune with the game, you in that moment can say, okay, I need risk management. My defense is playing otherworldly football, and we're up by a point. I know at that point he's frustrated because that's like drive 5 where they've just not made anything happen. And I think that's what he said. Like, that's kind of why, like he did that one to kind of dirt it and got away with it earlier in the game. So just thought he could. It's a valuable lesson because at this point, like that single mistake can lose you the game. And he just witnessed that. So hopefully we get a more poised Will Levis in week 2.
I don't think he'll make that mistake again. God hoping he doesn't. I think he's learned from his mistake. I think one of the biggest things for me, and I'm going to harp on it, I'm sure, a lot this week, is this entire off season and the offensive scheme. It was predicated on being able to adjust in game. With the Mike Vrabel era, insert Todd Downey, Arthur Smith, whoever you want there, they were great opening their script up in the beginning. And then as that game progressed down the line, when the defense changed things up, that's where they fell off a cliff. We saw the same thing today. And Callahan talked about it today as well after the game and said, you know what? After the second half, they were blitzing more on first and second down, and we just didn't adjust to it. I think being the first game that he has ever called, actually, I think that will improve as well. I think this is a young coaching staff, first-time play callers on both sides of the football, and I think that will improve. I think that will get better. So I do have a very optimistic approach as we progress through the season. Week 1 is a liar, and there's a reason that is a saying. So I think this team will get better down the road. And if it is, we already have a top 5 defense. If that defense continues to play like that on the field, this team will win football games. It will be better than it was last season.
The defense was literally good enough to win this game, Jake. We literally gave them the win. So if you think about it, you talk about like, is this defense good at X, Y, blah, 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 blah. Yes, they were. They were good enough. The offense got them 17 points. And as much as that hurts us as Titans fans to admit so many times, 17, 20-ish points, and your defense is good enough to keep them low. Like, it was literally good enough. We could have won. And then they gave it away. They absolutely gave it away. The poor defense. I feel so bad for Jeffrey Simmons and all those guys, all of them, because they played their absolute hearts out. Roger McCreary made
McCreary had 3 tackles for losses.
An absolute
cornerback.
A huge play on DJ Moore for TFL on that bubble screen where DJ Moore was tearing us apart when he just got the ball in his hands. So, Roger McCreary was fantastic in an open field situation, one-on-one. So, yeah, I mean, you love so many things you love about the defense on that side of things. But for the offense, just terribly, terribly disappointed, but optimistic that this has got to be a situation where we don't run into this again. But what I will say is, even though we might not run into the situation where we see a fluky pick happen, it's always possible. You throw the ball, it bounces like that weird ball that Caleb threw that Odunze caught. Like those situations happen, and that's completely against your how well you threw the ball, how good of a read you made. So it's not like we're not going to see that type of adversity again. You just got to hope that Will can overcome it, because at the end of the day, Will has to go and bring the team to a victory. Like he has to.
This team goes where he goes.
No, undoubtedly. So, like he's got to make the throws to Calvin. When you're like, man, sure wish we had a wide receiver 1. Here comes Calvin Ridley burning a top 5 corner in the league on every rep, and he's just not can't get the ball to him. So yeah, I really hope that Calvin, the receivers, Will Levis, they spend 9 hours throwing the football on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, like every single day, like whatever it takes to get your reps. Because at this point, it's you can't have a guy winning that hard and be missing him that consistently. It just can't happen. So yeah, takeaways, really excited on the defensive side of things. Special teams, Colt, we got to get where we got to get, because that's not going to work. I'd like to put DMR in a uniform and put him wherever Gibbons was. Fixed. Thomas Odukoya, put him. I don't give a damn. Dress 5 tight ends. I don't care what it takes. Get that fixed, because I'm not having it, bro. Like, that was rough.
Maybe just getting EJ out there on the field, and maybe Gibbons, he was tired at that point. Maybe he can just have 3 snaps per game where he's on the punt team. I'm perfectly fine with that. But yeah, from my looking at it just in real time, is he got bowled over. It was not a whiff block or anything. He just got outmanned. So hopefully those get better. I really don't have any more closing notes. Do you have anything else before we get out of here?
No, I think we covered it. No need to beat a dead horse. Obviously, that loss stung. But I think that at the end of the day, you just have to hope that the young quarterback learns from it. He bounces back. We'll see how he responds against a very good opponent. We don't know what this Jets team looks like just yet. We'll see them tomorrow against a very good Niners team as well. I would assume that this is going to be a high-powered offense on that side of the ball. You have Breece Hall, which the Titans, buckled a little bit in situations against, Swift. So let's see. Let's see if that same defense can bring the same energy that they had against the Bears. And then let's see if the Titans offense can come out with a little bit better efficiency and kind of clean up some of the mistakes. We didn't even talk about the penalties today, Jake. The penalties were awful. on both sides. It was fairly even. It was a fairly called game, I would say. The refs did a good job overall. I don't have anything to complain about the refs, but overall, yeah, just a sloppy game on that side. So yeah, I would love to see this team and this offense specifically just kind of, clean it up a little bit. Let's see Will sling it. I would like to see some more intermediate routes, stretching the field a little bit better there. But in order for you to get the ball in intermediate, medium-sized routes, like, you're going to have to be able to block the other team. So no Hassan Reddick most likely for the Jets next week. So we'll see.
As of right now. But yeah, as just closing thoughts, I think the coaching hire, I think we got that right. I think Coach Callie and Denard Wilson, I think they're going to be perfectly fine. Will Levis, this is his tryout. He's got this entire season. It's more than just what happened today on the field. We'll see him progress, and he's going to learn. It's a new system as well. So hopefully that'll improve. We'll cover the Jets game on Thursday morning. So join us, just like it says at the bottom of your screen. Join us for the live show, 7 a.m., same place, same time. But we will check you guys later. Stay blessed. Have a great day. Have a great week. And we'll see you on Thursday. Peace.